Welcome back to Down the Track. We're going to be reviewing the first test match between England and New Zealand. It ends in a draw. England batted out. They were very, very defensive. They didn't go for the target. It was possible to chase down this target, but I think with the batsmen that they had, no Ben Stokes, no Butler, there, no Bairstow, so it was a more very conservative approach. Not much intent. You see Sibley's innings, 60 runs of 207 deliveries, strike rate of 28. So there was not much intent there. Over defensive, you could say, and yeah, I think they just wanted to play out for the draw a bit. A bit of a downer for the neutrals as well because probably it could have been set up for a very exciting last couple of sessions. New Zealand, I think, showed really good intent. They wanted to win the game. They declared early and they had around 2.5 sessions to bowl England out, but just they just couldn't get enough assistance from that pitch. And yeah, I think if England attacked a bit, that obviously it could have really got New Zealand back into the game. So from that perspective, I think England, they did the right thing for themselves. But at the same time, if they did go, I think when Root and Sibley were batting, when the partnership crossed 40-50, I think they should have gone for it and at least tried to get close to that target. But yeah, it is a draw. England will take that. You have to consider one day was washed out as well. So if that day wasn't washed out, we would have definitely got a result. And that's what it is in English summers. Some days it rains, sometimes it's bright and sunny. I think the wicket also, it wasn't that easy. Like, if England did play their shots, if Sibley did play aggressively, it could have been, they could have got out. They could have been all out as well by the end of the day because with the batsmen to come inexperienced there, Bracey as well on debut, Lawrence, Robinson. There was inexperience there, so I think in that manner, I think England for themselves they would be happy for that. But we're happy with that. But New Zealand, I think they would be proud of themselves um, the way they showed intent, with the bat, with the ball as well. Early on today, everyone was striking around 70, 80, 90, out of 100 strike rate, and they were going for those runs. And even with the ball, they set aggressive fields, but yeah, they just couldn't get enough. I think with Trent Bolt back in the second test, that will give New Zealand a big advantage. England, they do look light in their batting. They definitely do. Even in the first innings, the way they batted, the way they played those false strokes, I think it showed a lot of inexperience there. They're really missing those three batsmen of Butler, Bairstow, and Stokes. Going into the second test again, Anderson Ball, will they play? Will they play the second match as well? They looked a bit tired in the second innings, but at the same time they're very experienced. I think they will be geared up for it. Robinson, I think, had a brilliant debut. I don't know if he's going to play the second test because of the off the field antics, but I think if you just look at his on field performance with the bat as well, he contributed with the ball. He picked up 7 wickets total in the match. In the second innings, well, picked up 3 wickets. So he's been a revelation for England on the field. He's played really well, and he's that all-rounder that they might need as a backup to Ben Stokes going forward. By all means, he's not the Ben Stokes level, but he can contribute lower down the order, which will help England. A Sam Curran type, if you may say so. Yes, yeah, I think New Zealand will be more happy, even though they didn't win the game. They were in the driver's seat, but with rain coming in, they can't do much. But they will be happy with the way they performed. Conway is a huge positive going into that World Test Championship. So is Tim Sadhi. Picked up 6 wickets in the first innings. He's shown his experience. A bit of a hint of movement. He can swing it both ways. He can get the ball in. Take it out as well, find that edge. So, he has all that experience. I think with Bolt coming in, both of them will be very lethal. Jamieson kind of struggled. I felt, with the slope at Lords, he found it a bit difficult, but he still was very economical in the second innings, 1.86 economy. And he any hint of bounce, whether it'll be in Birmingham in the next test or in World Test Championship final, he will extract it. So that's something that New Zealand will look forward to. And yeah, Wagner also, his figures don't look the most impressive, but he was there bowling his heart out, and he does make it uncomfortable for the batsman. And sometimes that produces wickets at the other end with the other bowler picking up the wicket. So Wagner, sometimes his performance can be underrated. I don't think he bowled badly this test match. He bowled pretty well. He was very accurate, and he does make the batsman comfortable with the short delivery. So he might not have the prettiest figures in terms of the wickets column, but he does make an impact on the opposition batting lineup, and his teammates, they bear the fruits of that. I think for me, the player of the match is Conway, for sure, the way he batted was just wonderful. A brilliant balance of aggression and patience. His defensive technique was really good as well. He's not a blocker as per se, but he knows when to leave the ball. He can defend it as well, and he plays his shots, but only when it's the right time, when it's the right delivery coming to him. So, yeah, I think for me, he was the man of the match. I felt that Burns as well. His innings was really good, kind of underrated because Conway got a double hundred, but I think Burns, he kept England in that game. Without his century, England lose this game even with the washed out day. I think so. Credit to Burns. I think he batted beautifully. Leg side game strong. I think some of his shots through covers, through point as well, were beautiful. And yeah, I think he batted really well and kept England in that game. Going into the second test match, I still feel New Zealand will be favorites. If it's a full day test match, I think New Zealand will be favorites. They're playing aggressive cricket. They're playing a good brand of cricket. They're going for the wins. They're not playing for the draw, and it sets up nicely going into the World Test Championship for them. They'll have Trent Bolt back. That'll give them a big advantage. I feel that England are, like we said, a batsman light, but they'll need the players to step up. Simply as well, if he can convert this now into a big hundred, Burns as well, it'll, a lot will be on the top order. But I think Ollie Pope is someone to look out for as well. He's a really good batsman. If he can get in and find some form, that will give England a lot of confidence going into the game. And I feel that England will need to adjust uh, the bowling as well in terms of the personnel. I would go with the spinner. You saw New Zealand got Santner in, and despite his injury, I think he held one end up. And I think that's something someone like a Leach can do for England and give the fast bowlers a breather. Because if you have two fast bowlers at a time throughout the Test match bowling, it does tire them out. There will be fatigue, and Gordon Anderson are not at the peak years right now. And if they can be fresh with Leach coming in and holding an end, I think that will do a world of good for England. Of course, they'll have to assess the pitch first and going into the Birmingham game and see what happens there. And I think Birmingham in general, though, it is conducive to swing. Sorry. Trent Bolt will be really excited for that. The only thing is, we've heard from the England management that they're looking to make flatter wickets throughout the summer because of to give their batsmen some confidence going into the Ashes. I feel that they should just stick to their strengths. It is, when there's swing around and stuff, even though batsmen do struggle, I think that's their strength. But on flatter wickets, if they want to improve, maybe that's the way to go for them. Only time will tell if that will be worth it with the Ashes in the winter. But yeah, I think we might see a flatter wicket. But with the new ball, when conditions are a bit overcast, or even when the wicket is a bit fresh, you will get assistance as a fast bowler in England. So whoever wins the toss, if they do bowl or if they lose the toss and do bowl, I think they'll look to try to take advantage of that new ball. But yeah, I think that wraps it up. Thank you so much for joining me. It was a great test match. Unfortunately, the last day it could have been more exciting, but England's approach was conservative, and just looking at the overall situation, rightly so from their perspective. But New Zealand, I think, will be very confident going into the World Test Championship and the next Test match. They've played some good cricket, aggressive brand of cricket, and it all goes down to the last game in Birmingham, and then the World Test Championship from there. So make sure you tune in to Down the Track for the latest content, and thank you so much for joining me.